In our last segment, we were only able to crossfade our images one time through. Now we want to work on starting back at the first image and repeat the sequence. We are using the JQuery next method to select the fade over IMG element. That worked until we faded to the last IMG element. To help fix that, we're going to look at the JQuery object length property. We will use it to signal when we need to select the first IMG element. And to do that, we will use the JQuery selection filter called first. Finally, we will use the JQuery show method on the faded out IMG element. JQuery objects have a length property. It tells us how many elements the object has selected. So let's examine it using the console window. Copy snippet 1, paste as line 9 of the crossfade.js file. Refresh and click the next button. The first time, the length is 1. And for the second time, we get a 1. But for the third time, we get a 0. And that 0 state remains each time we try it. At this point, we are not selecting any more elements using the next method. So the 0 value is our signal to select the first IMG element. The IMG elements are contained by the fade-group element. To select the first IMG element within the fade-group, we can use the JQuery filter called first. Copy snippet 2 and insert at line 11 in the crossfade.js file. Line 12 tests for a JQuery property length of 0. A true value tells us that there are no siblings selected for the IMG active class element. So now we can select the first IMG element. The selector in the expression on line 13 does that for us. It finds the fade-group element, then the filter selects the first IMG element. Refresh and click the next button 3 times. Wait for each fade out to complete before you click. But it seems we are still arriving at a blank image. The console is showing that the length for the next IMG element JQuery object is 1. This indicates that our code is finding a sibling IMG element. And if you continue to click the next button, you see that the length is consistently a 1. Also, you see that the active class is cycling through all 3 IMG elements. And the active class always has the z-index of 3. So what is going on? You see that all 3 IMG elements still have a style attribute with a display property of none. So we are not seeing any images, although our recycling code seems to be working perfectly. We can change the display property value of none by using the JQuery show method. But when should we apply it? The first opportunity is after the IMG element was faded out. Once the fade out is complete, its z-index value is set to auto, and the next IMG element's z-index is set to 3. This causes it to become covered in the stack, so it is now safe to show it again. Copy snippet 3, then replace line 24 in the crossfade.js file. Refresh and repeat clicking the next button. Wait for each fade out to complete before you click. Once you reach the last image, you see that it fades out over the first image. As you go, the display property is set to block for the previous active class IMG element. So now all the IMG elements are always visible, but they remain hidden by the IMG element with a z-index value of 3. Now we have a repeating cycle for cross-fading all the images. We check the length property of the JQuery object created from the next method. When it is 0, we know it is time to start with the first IMG element. To select the first IMG element, we use the JQuery first selection filter. Finally, we needed to use the JQuery show method after the IMG element was faded out. We still need to test for what happens if we add more IMG elements and if we click the next button before a crossfade completes. Stay tuned for these and more in an upcoming segment.